Go for it.
Perfect. All right, I'm ready.
All right. Hey, everyone, and welcome to episode 1 of the Link Cable podcast. So my name is Alex. I'm joined today by Zai, Kevin, and Jacob. We're the Link Cable crew, so we're going to be doing a bit of a discussion on all the things gaming that's come up this week. So,
we're actually live right now on Twitch and YouTube. We're working on Mixer. It's a little bit of a struggle to get approved to get streaming on there. It looks like 24 hours. They give you a countdown and everything. But right now we're on Twitch and YouTube. Take a look on there and chat with us. If you search for Link Cable Podcast, you'll find us.
So come join us in the live chat, and we'll be chatting with you and reacting and reading your comments as we do the show. And thanks very much for being here, guys.
And so for today, we'll be talking about Cyberpunk 2077 not launching on next-gen devices, BlizzCon potentially changing its format due to COVID-19, as well as Sony's new controller, which will be most likely the big topic of the show today.
Right. So lots to go over. I want to get started and get your thoughts on this Cyberpunk 2077 news. So basically, they did confirm that the game is going to come to next-gen systems, so like the Series X and PS5, but it won't be a launch game. So that when Cyberpunk does eventually come over to these systems, it is going to be its own made-for next-gen thing. So the direct quote here, and I have it in front of me because I'm a very prepared person, from CD Projekt Red is, gamers should never be forced to purchase the same game twice or pay for upgrades. The Cyberpunk 2077 Twitter account said at the time. Owners of hashtag Cyberpunk 2077 for Xbox One will receive the Xbox Series X upgrade for free when available. But that update would not be available on day one. It would be coming later down the road. So that's really an interesting kind of way to do it. Obviously, Cyberpunk is releasing really close to when we anticipate the PS5 and the Series X coming out. So a lot of people were wondering, well, am I going to be able to play it on my new console on day one?
Pick that apart, going back to what you said. So it looks like if you have an Xbox Series X, you're going to get the free upgrade to get the new next-gen version, but Sony people are going to be screwed.
I don't know if they're screwed. They never said it specifically. Is more the thing. So, I think it was it this E3, this most recent E3, or the one before it, where Cyberpunk was a big part of Microsoft's show. I think CD Projekt Red and Microsoft kind of have
Keanu came out on stage too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. And what did Keanu say? It was a meme.
You're breathtaking.
No, you're all beautiful or something. That's what he came out and said.
Yeah. So Microsoft and CD Projekt Red might
you're breathtaking.
So they might have a thing going on in the background where, maybe you're right, where that's just not an option on PS5. We don't know yet, but it's an interesting way to go about it. I think it's a very
push Xbox
new approach.
Versus, this is a game that will sell consoles, and if people are, I'm a regular dude, I'm going to the store, I'm like, okay, I can buy an Xbox, I could buy PS5. Well, I'm going to have to buy the game again if I get a PS5, so maybe I should look at the Xbox. To me, that seems huge. Mm-hmm. So I wonder, how did they work that out and not have Sony be involved to do the same thing? Or maybe they just haven't announced it yet because they've been kind of, hush-hush on all their stuff.
Yeah, next gen's in such a weird place where it's no one knows anything about next gen, and it's what 4 months away.
I think that it's not that far away, and it also timing.
It's really not.
The whole COVID-19 stuff that we're going to kind of talk about with some other events that's screwing up later tonight, but just on production of pretty much everything in the entire world, because most of the stuff comes from China and Japan and those places out there. We still don't know, is that really going to affect it? Are they still planning in this holiday? Are we going to... I don't know. There's this little tiny thing opens up a whole can of worms about what's going on with the launch stuff and how they're going to plan to do it, because we don't know very much at all.
Yeah. And everyone has said, everyone, Microsoft and Sony have said since COVID-19 broke that they are launching this year. that we will be playing these consoles in 2020. So how that launch looks, it might be a smaller launch than what we're typically used to. Like there probably won't be people lined up across the street to get these systems on day one.
So it'll be scalpers buying the few that are available.
Yeah, no,
paying $10,000 for an Xbox.
Yeah, not like those things were going to be cheap to start with. But yeah, no, it's a really interesting way for CD Projekt Red to kind of like own the fact that this game is a current gen game. It's not a next gen game, and that you should feel. The way I see it is that you should feel good buying it for your current gen system. You shouldn't be going into it with regret that like, oh, I'm going to get this game and then I have to buy an upgrade in like a few weeks or a few months. Like, buy it, enjoy it. It's going to get better, but it's pretty good to start.
I think that regardless, Cyberpunk was always initially announced on current gen consoles. When it was back introduced, when was Cyberpunk 2077? That first original trailer, what, like 2014, 15, 16?
Together to me.
You know? Yeah, the first trailer came back way in the day, and I never expected it to air on anything but current gen consoles. So to know that not only is it going to air on current gen consoles, and possibly in the future, have that reverse playability on future consoles, is a good
what do you guys
selling point.
Get our opinions for all of us personally. So question one, as of right now, from what we know, which console do you plan on buying? The new one from Microsoft or Sony or both? And then which one would you want to play Cyberpunk on? Would it be one of those two or a PC? Because PC is also a whole thing thrown into this, because I'm assuming they don't even need an upgrade. They're just going to get it all at once, and that's it. So I was initially thinking it was going to be for PC because that's where I wanted to kind of play it, because it probably looked best. But to me, at the same time, I got a nice gaming computer. It's nice sitting at my desk and doing it, but I love my couch set up in the basement with my TV and my gaming setup where I can just sit in the couch. This is a game you're going to spend hours on. So my personal opinion would be I want it on the Xbox Series X, because now I know I get the free upgrade and I can sit in my basement. So what about you guys?
It sounds to me like you want it on Stadia.
I would love it on Stadia. I would personally want to get Cyberpunk on the PS5. I don't know if maybe better graphics or better quality, but
you're going to buy for next gen, like your first purchase.
Yeah, I think between the two, I'm going to go with the PS5 first. Actually, you know what? Depending on initial releases, I may get the Xbox One X because Halo 6 is coming out, and that is my most anticipated game. So I may, depending on what is releasing, I may heavily swing towards an X. Yep. So that's where I may be getting it for Xbox, but there's also a good chance I'd get it for PS4.
What about you?
Or PS5.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit torn. I like if I'm picking a system to get my new games on, and they're multi-platform games, I tend to go PC.
Yeah.
Because it's a cleaner experience. I find and I am a huge console gamer. I don't want to be like, I don't want people to think like, oh, the hoity-toity PC gamer. I just prefer it for multi-platform games. I'm leaning PC, but like Kevin says, like, what's the harm in getting it on Xbox One? And then eventually, like, I don't know if I'm getting a Series X day one because they haven't done anything to sell me on it. So who knows? But if I get it on Xbox One, I play it, and then when I'm ready to upgrade, I get a better version of the game for free.
That upgrade thing is
that seems like a really smart deal.
Like, that's what really makes me want to get it on Xbox, because of just what this article says about how it's. Maybe this is just premature and they haven't gone through to say that Sony's gonna do the same thing, but I don't know. That's a big part of it. What about you, Jacob? What's your take?
Well, I recently bought a PS4, and I feel like if I have to switch again, and then not to say that I won't be able to play the games that I've already bought on the PS4, but having to get used to to the whole Xbox interface, I feel like it's strange. And even if I'm given the opportunity to upgrade it later on, I still feel as though I'm gonna pick it up for PS5 or whatever. Just to have it we'll say that straightforward simplicity where you're going from PS4 to PS5 rather than going to PS4 to Xbox or Xbox Series or whatever it's called. Like, either that, or if I have the time to go and build my new gaming PC, then surely I'll get on PC at that point. But I think the intention is to first get it on PS4, because I think it's also one of those games that will be like the last hurrah of this generation.
It is definitely one of those.
Well, maybe not, because everything else keeps getting delayed.
First play on
we'll
PS4.
see.
Yeah,
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
generation
no
that
kidding.
never ends.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, I think just for simplicity's sake, I think I'll go from PS4 to PS5 and then purchase it on PS5 if I need to again. But I get the feeling that just because they announced it on the Xbox
Does not mean
Series,
that they won't. Yeah.
Yeah, they won't do it for Sony's new console as well. Maybe it's something they'll do it later on, like how they do with COD, where you have maps and whatever for a certain amount of time, then it goes onto other devices. Maybe they'll do something like that for Cyberpunk, and I don't mind waiting, especially if I'm going to play it on PS4 anyways.
And you bring up a good point too, of like having that continuity of like the infrastructure you're in. Like if you're already in the Xbox ecosystem, what's like it's hard to get out of that, right? Like you're so now with all the subscription services that they've got set up, and like games with gold and Game Pass and all that, it's so easy to be like, you have everything you could possibly want
ecosystem, so
within
you
your
kind of get yourself involved in it, especially with digital games with it too. It's like, okay, Xbox is doing such a good job saying, okay, all the games you purchased, all the stuff and Game Pass you love, even some of your accessories that you've got, it's gonna all move with you. You don't have to leave everything behind like you would before. Take it all with you. You still have all the same shit you've had before. You're good to go. Just enjoy the new stuff with it. Like, that is pretty appealing. Where PS4, we had that one press conference that what's his name, Mike Cerny, came with saying like, oh yeah, we have the top 100 PS4 games or whatever, PS3, I don't remember what he said, is going to go through with it.
Wow.
They never really clarified saying, is that just they're going to make sure they work the best, or those are the only ones that are going to work? So there's a lot of confusion with everything Sony's doing right now, and it's definitely making my opinion want to stray more towards Xbox, because it's like, I got Game Pass, I got my Xbox Series Pro controller is going to work with this stuff now. Like, everything is moving with me, and I'm like, okay, this is good. I mean, go on, sorry.
The lead up to the Series X, and like it's again, we know almost nothing about these systems, but I find this generation Microsoft has done so much of a better job at like. I'm more excited for what Series X can be than PS5, because we know nothing. Like PS5 is just nothing right now.
It's air.
It's air. Yeah.
I was just about to say that as well, Alex. Right now Microsoft has been as pro-consumer as possible. I find like a lot of what they're doing is beating over Sony. PlayStation hasn't been as consumer friendly as in recent years. My good old example is the timed exclusivity with a lot of their deals is PS based, and it's not allowing it to be open to other markets. So I think that Xbox is capitalizing on this concept, and they're just really promoting the idea of getting things out for consumers, making everything multi-platform, making everything linked to each other, essentially.
Yep. We're really seeing, I don't know if you guys were paying a ton of attention back in like 2012, 2013, when the Xbox One was being revealed and announced. Yeah, that was horrible. That was an absolutely...
hard time, man. Hard times.
But they had talked a lot about like that that ecosystem where everything is tied to each other, and I think they got there in a much more, like you say, consumer friendly way. Like when the Xbox One was launching, it was so like, you have to follow this system that we've set up.
Yeah, big time.
You can't share your games, and now it's like they got to a point where they can offer a lot of.
They're like, no Connect.
Yeah, they really did. I mean,
let's take away all this, no sharing games. Let's get rid of the no discs. Now, family sharing is so easy on Xbox. You can share your games with, like, I know people that do it with all kinds of people from work and friends they have, and they have all their digital games shared. So they're just like being way more open with it. The amount of crossplay and the what's it called when you can own it on PC and Xbox, where it's like buy it once type of thing. Like they're also being like, you know what, we don't have to just try to make Microsoft Xbox when we already own PC. Like everyone forgets that that's us. We're Windows. So I mean, they're just trying to take the already, you know, if you look at PC versus the console world, PC's destroying everything. So of course, again, Windows, so they can just, you know, mash together Xbox with that, and I think they're finally doing a good job with it. Where Sony's like, oh, I do feel like they have a little bit of a kind of, you know, stuffy nose, like, oh, we can do what we want, and we have our own little private world over here, but.
If you want to have a fun point with Cyberpunk 2077 and bring it back to the Xbox One as well, the release trailer for Cyberpunk 2077 was done in 2013.
Wow.
What?
So just to give you an idea how long this game has been.
That was the first trailer, right?
Yeah.
That was the first initial trailer where it was just, you know, a CGI trailer.
Yeah.
and just to give you an idea and how like this game, like it needs to come out at this point.
Yeah.
I think it just highlights how like the point where they're that CD Projekt Red are doing and highlighting it as a current gen game. And not trying to focus, like, put any sort of focus on next gen devices.
Yeah.
Just,
well, I don't think. Oh, no, go ahead. Finish.
Oh no! I was done there. Yeah.
Because I was just gonna say, like, I don't think if Cyberpunk, if they were like, you know what, we're it's gotten too big at this point, we're only releasing it on next gen. I don't think that would be fair for everyone who's waited, like you said, since 2013 for this game.
I have been waiting since 2013, and I would not like it to be exclusive for next gen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
go ahead.
No, continue.
No, we need to keep cutting everyone off, but it was just like, yeah, it would be like the type of thing where it was like, you've been looking forward to it for so long, and you are set up, and you know it's going to be like Jacob said, like a showcase piece for this generation. And for some people that doesn't mean anything; just a game is a game. But you know, if you bought into an Xbox One or a PS4 on day one, this was the kind of game that you were saying this could be possible one day on these systems.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Kind of get like the Last Guardian vibe at that point if it were to say jump ship onto a different console, and then you kind of lose that whole momentum of building up like this great game, and then kind of like gets lost in the middle of all the other big games that are coming out on, we'll say, on next gen devices. Because Last Guardian, was supposed to be a PS3 game. Jump ship.
Yes.
Yep.
Jump ship to PS4. It was good, but it wasn't that, you know, it wasn't that big game that everybody was looking forward to. I think it missed a lot of momentum, and I think that's the same thing that would have happened to Cyberpunk 2077 if it were to say, okay, well, we're switching from current gen to next gen so we can provide the best experience.
Right. And that doesn't, like Kevin mentioned earlier, like if these systems do launch this year, there's likely not going to be tons of them. Obviously, manufacturing comes from China, and the world is in a bit of a state right now. I don't know if people have noticed. But if Cyberpunk was next gen only, and then these next gen systems are really hard to find, that's not helping anyone out, right? So it's kind of going to be like, it reminds me a little bit of when the Switch launched and Breath of the Wild was the big game. Everyone needed to get this game. If you couldn't find a Switch and had a Wii U, you weren't completely out of luck. Like, I mean, you had a Wii U, so you were pretty unlucky to start. But you could still play Breath of the Wild in its in a complete form, right? So I think them acknowledging that it is going to be big on current gen is a very important thing for CD Projekt Red to be doing. All right. So the second item on the docket was, and again, unfortunately, have to talk about COVID-19 and its effects on the world of gaming. It's that BlizzCon, they're already saying that they might have to delay or cancel the show outright. According to them, according to Blizzard, they're still proceeding as normal, but BlizzCon might be in danger of not happening this year. So, I wanted to bring that up and have a bit of a discussion on that. Obviously, we've already seen E3 get pushed back, as that's the biggest gaming show that hasn't happened yet. GDC is happening digitally later in the year. GDC isn't really so much for us, but it's for the developers themselves. So obviously they'll get a show in some way, shape, or form. But BlizzCon's typically what, first week of November?
First weekend, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First weekend of November.
Yeah.
Alex, maybe your memory's a bit better on mine. What shows have been canceled but have said they're going to go digitally?
I don't know.
No.
I know GDC for sure.
GDC for sure. I know there's a couple, but
Maybe Gamescom. I don't think of Gamescon. I don't think they've done an announcement yet. E3 was the one who had said that they were going to do a digital or look into doing a digital show, and then apparently the interest from publishers was just not there.
I mean, you think
It
about
was
it,
no,
it's
eh?
delayed or I mean, everything from gaming stuff to even the Olympics has just been canceled. So I mean, it's been a nightmare to everything, any industry, any world of entertainment, or anything. This has just taken the world by storm and destroyed us. Usually the tickets usually go on sale for BlizzCon right about now. They usually go on sale beginning of I want to say it's towards the end of March or beginning of April, and that getting tickets for BlizzCon in itself is already like you have to be prepared. You have to get online at the time.
challenge.
You have like 5 different browsers open and on your phone and trying to refresh your thing to get it because it's not easy to get the ticket. So the closer plus planning for hotel rooms and everything else in Anaheim, it's expensive. I've gone to BlizzCon 3 times and trying to find a hotel within a couple miles it's hard. It's not an easy thing to do.
a couple miles.
It
Wow.
gets crazy. There's all those hotels because at the same time, there's people there for Disney because Disneyland is right across the street from the convention center. So you got that crowd. That place is always busy. Plus bringing in a convention, so it's just, I don't know. It's odd that they're gonna. I don't know how you can't really push it too much because you get later in November, then it's Thanksgiving, and then it's holiday season between Christmas and all these other holidays that get wrapped in New Year's and Hanukkah, all this other stuff going on. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
And that is the time when these next gen systems are apparently launching as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, Blizzard has a ravenous fan base. They're just die hard for anything they would put out, and that's great. But how much of the gaming world's attention do you have at this point in time to do BlizzCon?
I mean, they have skipped it before. They I don't know what years, and I'm reading the article. It does say Blizzard has only skipped 2 years since it was held in 2005. So I mean, it's not them skipping isn't the end of the world, but I do feel like this year was a year they had a lot of stuff to come out because they announced Diablo 4. They finally
Diablo 4,
Overwatch 2.
Overwatch 2,
Guys, you guys are forgetting
Shadowlands,
Oh no,
No,
you guys all
Diablo
have cell
Immortal.
phones, right?
MOBA. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's gonna be, and plus, Warcraft Shadowlands is supposed to come out probably the end of summer.
Yeah.
So they're probably gonna interest stuff for that, and I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, it's most of this is just us speculating about what could happen, but it is interesting to kind of think that this virus has really just turned the entire world upside down. And BlizzCon is something that I know. I was planning on going this year for my friend's birthday. He wanted to have a 30th birthday party and have some of his friends go, and we were planning on going, but now I don't think so.
It'll be hard to... Go ahead, Zay.
I think a really great idea would be you know what? November is so far away. All the events that have been canceled so far have been summer events, up to August. If they want to continue to actually potentially close it, I think it would be a really good idea and have like kind of a look back on what Blizzard has done, where they were, and kind of like and maybe do like a small live stream of their event, but like for the public, like the YouTube live concerts and shows. Something similar to that, I feel like would be a really neat touch, and just highlight their company,
but at the same time,
do things like
so
that.
I think that'd be great. But even the fact that the planning, like I had my sister-in-law, she used to do a lot of planning for companies like this for automotive shows. And the amount of planning that goes into it, it takes a huge department to put this together. So I'm like, these people, who knows who's sick with this virus, how their company's working, because no one's allowed to be, working at work, really. So, I mean, the whole planning part is, if this thing doesn't clear up by, let's say, end of May, is there enough time to even put something like that together? Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it does seem that they're also looking at the potential of having like a video presentation of some sorts. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure that's not
I
off
don't
the
think
table
people
at
are
this
opposed to
point.
that, because
But
they
again-
charge for the.
Yeah.
If you guys have seen the what's it called, the virtual ticket. Yeah, they get. So that's something they push already. So I mean,
Yeah.
maybe just expand on that, like you're saying, Jacob.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or even go on the Nintendo route and have like a Blizzard Direct, basically, where it's an hour long. It's short,
Exactly.
and then you highlight all the big games. We know Overwatch 2 is coming out. Diablo 4 is somewhere in the future. New Warcraft, World of Warcraft expansion. They can fix Warcraft Remastered. Thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we know there's other stuff that's coming. So I mean, like if they just want to highlight it in an hour's time, I'd certainly be up for it. I wouldn't necessarily pay for it unless like the goodies are worth buying for all the other games that I own from Blizzard. Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like you just have an hour presentation, just going through the games that they're releasing, and I think that'd be worth it at this point.
Absolutely. And you know what? If they do charge for tickets, personally, I think a good idea would be maybe if you charge for a ticket, put it towards it gives you a type of refund or receipt for one of the games they're announcing. That way they can kind of give it back a little if people weren't able to go there. At least part of that fee goes towards your game. Or even a lot of organizations have been doing tickets for charities, specifically COVID right now. So I think if you want people to purchase a ticket and watch one of your shows, Nintendo Directs are free like that. But if you want to charge your own fee, put it towards something, charity events, buying back games, something like that. I think that would be something enticing for people. I wouldn't say to outright charge people and just be like, come watch our show. Well, shit, it's going to get pirated, 2 days from now anyways?
I think also, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Blizzard usually announces like the charity pets and mounts during those times where it's like, they're purchasable items for World of Warcraft, and then it's buy them, and then the proceeds go towards this charity. But like again, obviously the focus would be in terms of people impacted by COVID-19 or strictly for COVID-19. Whether it be for
part of the proceeds.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to ask you guys, and like I appreciate Blizzard games. I'm not the Ravenous type of fan. I like StarCraft and Warcraft a lot. But I have a question for you guys, if maybe you guys have a bit of a stronger opinion on this than me. Is it true that, or would you guys say that the presentation part of BlizzCon, where they're going through and giving the announcements and games, that is typically the worst part of BlizzCon?
Wait, okay, time out. So you mean like the announcements, like the beginning? Oh, I completely disagree.
Yeah, like the announcement.
Okay, has anybody here been to BlizzCon?
Yeah, okay.
I have not. No, as much as I want to.
Been there?
I can't say.
So I have not, and I'll tell you some of the greatest moments in my life are in that opening ceremony when you have all these people that run the company that you look up to, and you're like, those are cool people, and they come out on stage and they got their nerdiest shirt on, and they have like a jacket, and they announce like, oh, the new World of Warcraft expansion's this. They take the jacket off, unzip it, and it's a t-shirt of the new expansion, and there's cinematics going everywhere, and that's is the coolest thing. And then they have like the little secrets at the end because you think that's it, and then all of a sudden they show somebody in one of the games you didn't expect, or to me that's the best part of BlizzCon. That's like, I don't know, it's weird. You get in there with the energy and you get excited about it, and I have varied excitement levels for each game already, but even StarCraft they start announcing stupid shit for, and I don't even play StarCraft or care about it. I'm like, do you see that? They have it, they're adding this, and you're with your friends and it's like everyone's pumped. So I don't know, that to me, like, some of the best moments of my life were those 3 different opening ceremonies I went to, and you're just like so happy.
I think last year when they announced Diablo 4, Overwatch 2, and Shadowlands, was it? I think that was a really, really good show. But I was like, wow, this is actually an awesome opening, because like they gave us a lot of stuff right out from the get-go. But I think they've improved on that, Alex. But I think before that, maybe the energy in the crowd is different, but when it translates to like audience and people watching, maybe it doesn't come off as clearly. Yeah. And I've felt in the past that Blizzard's conferences it could be a little more engaging, to a viewing audience that's not physically there. But I think after last BlizzCon with those announcements and kind of seeing how they've changed and with Overwatch kind of taking a lot over, I feel like they've upped their presentation game value.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that was the point I wanted to bring up too. It's like I will watch it on YouTube, and for the most part, it's it's a video presentation. It's not as exciting, but then whenever you go back and look at like the live reaction footage, where whenever they announce Shadowlands and Sylvanas like destroys Bolvar's crown. And then, like, the sky opens up, and you see the crowd just, like, going crazy. I think that...
Literally crazy.
Yeah. And I think we would get the same sentiment, where we like, when me and Alex went to E3 a few years ago, and, we were live at the PC gaming show presentation. Yeah. And, like, the smallest announcements got us super excited. I could just imagine the level of excitement that would have been for BlizzCon as well. For you, Kevin, just having to be there live and just seeing all those major announcements.
I guess where that question came from, or like was more like from my observations of it, was always BlizzCon is so much more than just the presentations and the announcements. It's that community gathering. Like they do like cosplay contest. There's like all this other stuff, right? So and you don't get that at other gaming conventions, or at least not a lot of them. Where it's like we're here for one company. We're not here for we're not celebrating gaming. Generally, we're celebrating Blizzard. And I always thought it was, from my observations, it was more like people were more amped for the community aspect rather than what's new. But you've all proven me wrong, so that's good.
I think you're right, and I think in the community aspect they are good on that, but I think they're doing better than how they've been, especially after last BlizzCon.
Funny, I
really want to see that project.
Opinion about it, but I actually completely think differently about what you're saying, and I think last year's was pretty lackluster, and the year before, just not because of the way they presented it, but the content they presented. I feel like they're either holding out and they haven't announced everything they want to say yet, and they're trying to surprise us, or they don't have a good enough plan, and they don't have anything to really tell us. Because, I mean, if you go like 3 or 4 years back, the amount of stuff they just came at you with was like, we got this expansion. I'm thinking about like when they announced Legion and stuff, like the WoW expansion, like they had Legion, they had the World of Warcraft movie, the Heroes of the Storm, had all these characters that were coming. Hearthstone was just doing great, and everyone was excited, and I think everything's just starting to get stale is the problem. I mean, Overwatch has been out for a while. Overwatch 2 got some people excited, but people are already kind of dying out from that. I mean, Heroes of the Storm, I love that game. It's the only MOBA I've played a crap ton of hours in, but nobody really plays it anymore. Hearthstone's been, people get excited about it, but it's still not where it used to be, where everybody was talking about it. So I don't know. I think the whole company itself has just gotten kind of stale, which I think that brings less excitement.
Yeah, well, they don't expand out of their like repertoire of like IPs, titles. Right? Like Overwatch was the newest one. Like if you want to consider Heroes of the Storm into like we'll say a new property for them, I mean it just kind of just takes all of their own properties and puts it into a mod that was in Warcraft 3. So like they don't stretch out and try anything new, right? They stick
to their formula.
Very status quo to their games. Like obviously they try to make new things out of those properties, but I mean they don't try to, we won't get we're going to revisit StarCraft Ghost, or we're going to try to do new things with these titles. Diablo 4 is going to be a Diablo game. And the next Warcraft expansion is going to be a Warcraft expansion. And I think at this point, it's what we have to expect from Blizzard. Unless, this BlizzCon, they actually had something worth showing where it'd be like something different. But I think for any future announcements coming from Blizzard, I think you'd have to think, okay, well, if they're announcing a StarCraft game, it's going to be a StarCraft game. If they're announcing a Diablo game, it's going to be a Diablo game. So,
and looking at our comment section, we do have a bit of a comment asking, what's going on with Warcraft 3 Remake, and something I wanted to bring up too, is that Blizzard has had a quality issue,
which is weird because this is like a total 180 from what they usually do, and they're all about quality and power.
Yeah. Right. And I know some people will be like, well, it's because Activision, because they're one company now, but they've been one company for like a really long time.
Yeah.
Like,
Years.
it's not. I don't think Activision is still actively diluting what was Blizzard. I think it's just that's what Blizzard is now. So it's. I don't know. Like, I know the Warcraft 3 remake was something that, like, Jacob, you wouldn't shut up about it. Like, it was so like it was like. It was going to be like this big thing, and Warcraft 3 is a legendary game. It is a it is a fantastic game in and of itself. And then the remake or the remaster comes out, and it is just trash. And it was, and it's still trash. Like, how have they haven't fixed it?
It's pretty bad.
So it's they kind of just sent it out to die, which is really sad because again, Warcraft 3, legendary game, absolutely fantastic game. Everyone should play it. They should play the original version that came in that giant battle chest.
Awesome.
That's the good version of Warcraft 3.
Yeah.
Actually, if I can bring up a similar point here, I was just so I am a huge fan of Warframe. I love Warframe, and Digital Extremes is one of my favorite new emerging companies of the 2010s. And this year was the year I really wanted to go to TennoCon, which is in London, Ontario. So unfortunately, this year they had to be canceled due to COVID-19, and they themselves are planning. I'm actually reading it on Warframe's site right now that they are themselves planning on putting together plans that will enable every Tenno worldwide to digitally share the magic and excitement of TennoCon on July 11th. So, I think that if you're going to go ahead and cancel your event, I think having something like that where it is going back and making it available to everyone is something on the right track. Like, Digital Extremes is doing it, and they're nowhere near the size of what Blizzard is. I know it's still in July and it's a bit early. That could totally bail out. But if they're talking about closing it, I think they should also be talking about what they plan on doing about it being closed.
Yeah. Yep. It's an interesting time, and I mean, we're talking about it from a gaming perspective. This exists in every entertainment category and every facet of our lives, really, where we don't know how things are going to react. There hasn't been a pandemic like this in modern times, so how modern systems react to that, no one really knows. We'll find out. So to kind of see how different companies kind of try to approach it differently is it's going to be a really interesting little while. But yeah, I think with Blizzard and BlizzCon, it is curious to me that they're already I know it takes a long time to get these events set up. These aren't set up overnight.
Huge.
So it makes sense they're already saying hey, our November event might not happen as planned, if at all. So it is going to be a very interesting time to kind of see how they get the word out. So we know that with E3 being canceled, all these companies that typically spend E3 time putting together their presentations are finding different ways. Bethesda's already said they're going to do something completely. They're we're not doing anything around E3. We're doing our own thing, which kind of makes me think that Bethesda didn't have anything to show. I don't want to get too onto the topic, but I think they showed Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield way too early because they're not going to come out.
And some music. That was about it.
Yeah, it's the hey, by the way, here's what we're working on. Enjoy playing it in a couple of years. So I want to move on from BlizzCon to talk about probably the thing that we might have the biggest amount of opinions on this week. Sony revealed the PlayStation 5 controller. The DualSense. It's not the DualShock. It's the DualSense. And I hate it. I do not like it. I've never held one in my hands, obviously. I've never seen one in person. I don't like the way it looks. It is a ugly controller. That's my opinion, and no one's going to change it.
Okay, who here is for the controller and who here is against it?
I think you're on your Fallout New Vegas boat. There's a...
Oh, God, not this again. Okay, so I take it as you don't like it.
I mean, it looks fine. It just looks old. It doesn't look It reminds me whenever the Wii U was unveiled, where the console and the controller and everything looked old. It looked last gen. It didn't look it didn't look like it was like I don't know the functionalities of this controller obviously or anything like that, but like just on a visual perspective, it just looks like it's like it looks like what the PS3's controller should have been. Besides that like weird banana looking controller they had.
The Batarang.
Yeah, that weird looking controller, but which I mean I was really for, but I mean yeah, I feel like if they showed this controller like whenever the PS3 was unveiled, I would have been
So
excited.
they had like I don't know if
But
this is what
now-
you're getting at, but they had. If you look at the original PS3 controller, what they like showed off, it was very different than what actually came out. It ended up being just like the standard. So like,
Oh yeah,
I'm wondering if this is them trying to follow that design because it was kind of futuristic and they're going to try to follow it now, or I mean, I'm assuming this is exactly what we're going to get when it comes out too, right? And I don't think there's time to even change it.
I hope so.
I'm surprised you don't. Okay, what don't you like about? Sorry to cut you off, Jake. I don't know if you had anything else to say.
oh, I mean, it's wearing overalls.
It's wearing.
Really?
That's just how you're looking at it.
I'm not a fan of the two-tone colors. I think if it was just all black or all white, then I would have been like less opposed to it. We'll say, but I just find the color scheme is strange. But however, I did see many concepts online, and like just looking at a picture of an all black one, yeah, it is a pretty controller. Like an all black one is great. An all white one would be great. Like a themed one would be great, but just like looking at the white and black one is just kind of I don't know. I'm not very interested. I just don't think it appeals to me personally.
I just hate it because I hate the thumbsticks are still in the same spot. I want it to look more like an Xbox controller. That's my only complaint.
It's unbalanced. Like I'm looking at it right now, and the head-on view where you're looking directly down at the controller, where like right around the touchpad where like the black part gets really narrow and then goes into a blue line, and then everything else is kind of like chunkier lines. It looks like a mock-up. It looks like a prototype. It doesn't look like a modern piece of tech. And like obviously like we're gonna have to see what the console looks like, because paired with the console it might actually look nice. But like why are the triggers and bumpers black? Like why are like it looks like they put this together as a prototype and not the actual controller, which why would they show us the prototype when we're I don't know like 8 months out? Actually 8 months from now is December, and so it'd probably be already out by then. So why are they like it's I don't know, I don't like it. It looks like it belongs paired with like a DVD player
really
from
don't
2002.
Like this thing. You were like aggressively mad at this controller. I think it. I mean, it's.
I like what since I'm the only one I guess here that actually likes the design. I'm just taking another look at it right now. I'm looking at concept designs where they change the colors into let's just say a full black, or I'm seeing like different tones of it, changing the white up. I like the duality of it, I feel like, and the buttons look really simple, like they look, not so aggressively in your face. I like that futuristic, clean kind of vibe to it, where it's that stainless steel smooth kind of approach, even though it's not. But I just mean, I like that future techie look to things, and I think that's why I'm enjoying it more so.
See, my problem with that, and I would agree with you just looking at the buttons and everything, but then the black part where the thumbsticks are, it looks old. Yeah. That's my issue. That's where it comes. Like everything that's black on the controller looks old. Everything like it just looks like they matched two different type of controllers together. So that's kind of like my biggest if with it. However, somebody pointed out on Twitter, and I had to like love this tweet to death, but it has a honk button on the left side for whenever you play the Nintendo Boost game on PS5 when it launches. Has the automatic honk
outside
button.
of just the actual design of it does have new features, which is nice. It has a microphone, which I don't know how good that's going to be for basic just communication with other players. Go ahead.
Sony did patent an AI assistant, and the speculation is that that microphone is going to be to talk to that AI assistant.
That could be it.
So kind of like how the Stadia controller, you can actually, I don't think this feature works yet because it's Stadia, but you could talk to your controller and it will help you in your game.
Interesting. They also have the haptic feedback, which we don't have too much to go off of other than the name. But I've heard a lot of people try to guess that it's compared to like Nintendo's what do they call it, like their enhanced Rumble or whatever what it's called, HD Rumble. But I don't really. I mean, they don't really take advantage of that all that much, really. And if they do, I'm not even really noticing it. So I mean, is that? Do you really think? Do we think that's really that big of a feature that do people really care about Rumble that much?
The Xbox One the Xbox One controller made a big deal about having rumble motors in the triggers.
I like that.
I like it too, but no game uses it. Like, if it's a cool feature, use it. Like, you know what I mean? I don't get an enhanced gaming experience because my triggers are rumbling. Like, I don't know. I find it's used so sparingly that you could have it. It's like HD Rumble on Nintendo. Yeah, you could have it. But if you're not going to use it, it doesn't make a difference. No, most of my issues with this controller are design related. It's called DualSense, and there was that rumor a while ago that it would have biometric sensors, so it would be able to pick up on things like your heartbeat and your kind of like, and use those metrics to enhance or change up the gameplay. So I wrote an article for linkcable.com a little while ago where it was, here's some ideas to how biometrics can make games better.
I remember that.
Thank you. I'm thinking, like, right away my mind goes to horror games. It's like, if you're playing a game and it's scary and the controller can pick up that you're getting more unnerved and more nervous, you're breathing harder, your heart rate's up, all right, fine. The game is going to go even more brutal and try to scare you in the exact moments. Or the game could learn and be like, hey, these types of like scares don't seem to really bother you, so we're going to pull those back and not have as many, but we're going to have more of the types of things that actually do scare you. So that's in a horror game concept.
I'm thinking of what's it called? Left 4 Dead's director function.
Oh, I was thinking more like workout games, like Ring Fit Adventure with read your heart rate or something type of stuff.
Yeah, it'd be fun. So that's an interesting thing. But again, and to come back full circle to the beginning of this whole podcast, is we know almost nothing about these next gen systems, and both Microsoft and Sony are expecting to put them out to market in, we assume, 10 months, or no, not 10 months, 6 months, and we know next to nothing about them. Recent history says that's not too big a deal. The Switch was shown off for the first time.
5 months.
5 months in October, and then they had the big reveal in January, and then in March it was out. Yeah. So recent history says you can do that, and it'll work out. It's just, it's still uncomfortable. Like, as a consumer who, I want a next-gen system. I want to be able to see what this is about and play modern games, to be like, I don't know which one. I really don't. But if I had to go on controller or design alone, I would buy 10 Xbox Series X's before I bought one PlayStation 5. And I like the PS4 controller. Like, a bit of my own personal gaming history. I never liked Sony controllers. I did not like the PS1, the PS2, or the PS3's controllers.
Really?
Nope, did not like them. The PS1 and the PS2 were fine. The controllers were junk and broke all the time. But the PS3's controller, it feels so flimsy. Like the triggers are all mushy. I hated that controller so much. And then get a PS4, and I'm like, I actually really like this controller. I have no issues with the PS4.
And then like a battery that lasts like 40 minutes on a decent game. Like, I can't stand, and
that is true, yeah.
I hate the thumbsticks being close. I need to have that off-centered, like, Xbox controller, like whatever, the asymmetric, because to me it just changes everything.
it's more natural to have your two thumbs because the asymmetric design is really good because both like you have your left thumb is always your controlling, like your movement, and then your right thumb is your action buttons. So you're kind of like you're always set on those. It's very rare that you need to have your thumb always on the camera controls for most games. But what the PS4 controller did was it moved everything just ever so slightly, like it pulled everything in opposite directions just ever so slightly, so that the thumbsticks aren't as close to each other. And I appreciated that. I think I prefer the Xbox One controller. It has better triggers and is better for like the type of games I play on Xbox One. But yeah, it's I don't know. I'm not sold on this controller. As soon as I saw it, I was like, it's just not a great design in my mind.
Yeah, definitely has people talking though. I mean, like you should see like how Reddit is like taken by storm.
Blown up.
Yeah, just being like, do you love it or hate it? And people are just going crazy and at each other's throats online too. Like, it's been fun to see that. But I mean, like, yeah, like how 3 out of 4 people today have said that this controller kind of like, I mean,
who are we to have like? I mean, it's a personal opinion. Some people are going to love this thing. Some people are going to hate it. It's like you said, it's a conversation starter, which is good. People are talking about the PS5. No one was talking about the PS5 for a while. So people are finally starting to talk about it. The Series X controller looks a bit more standard. Like it looks like an Xbox One controller that got kind of like changed up a little bit. Yeah. Obviously, it'll have its own features, but we know next to nothing about that. So
I feel like the Xbox controller is more of a if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of attitude.
Yes, absolutely. The Xbox 360 controller is still like top notch.
Yeah, those things do not crack, man. Played a lot of Halo on those.
It's still my PC game controller of choice. It's if I have a few other options, but like if I'm going to play PC games, I'll typically plug in a 360 controller. It just melts in your hands. Like it just feels good.
Yeah.
It's like a GameCube controller. It just melts in your hands. You just everyone knows where the buttons are. But yeah, anyway, any other thoughts or things we want to look at for the controllers, like the PS5 and the Series X? I guess we should start talking about that one.
Andrew in the chat says, "I love the look of the new PS5 controller. Going to see if it really beats out the Xbox One." Yeah, we'll see.
There we go. Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate it. A fellow fan. There. Now it's 3 out of 5.
I mean, a controller should the biggest part of a controller should be how it handles, like how it feels and how you play with it, right? So for lack of a better phrase.
I'm like, oh, Alex.
So I mean, I've had ugly controllers before, but they feel fine. So like I like the Steam controller, like that thing with the 2 big like radials on the side. I like that thing. It's fun. It's really good for PC games on a TV. You do have to spend a bit of time like setting it up and everything, but like playing RTSs with a controller is usually trash.
I bet you like the Wiimote and nunchuck too.
But like, yes, absolutely, it's a fantastic controller option. I don't.
Alex, are you joking or being?
No,
he loves motion controls. That's all the games he plays.
Yeah, every single game needs the motion controls. No, so fun little side story. I had a Wii in college. It was my only big gaming console. My roommates had an Xbox 360, so I could play that when I needed to. And I only had a Wii, and I was really into Call of Duty, which is kind of a bit of a problem, right? But Call of Duty did come out on the Wii, and I love playing Call of Duty with the Wii remote and nunchuck. I thought it was the perfect way to play Call of Duty.
For real.
So it took me a while to go back to twin stick controls for it.
How?
No, I have to second that too.
I find it
works really well. Yeah,
I'm not discrediting it at all. You know, I think that's such a cool, weird concept. But I'm so down to try Modern Call of
I
Duty.
mean, it would be
with the
like
nunchuck
a comical
and the
fun
controller
thing to
like
do.
that.
But I don't know if it would be like my main standard for it. I will say that I did play. There was a Dragon Ball Z game on Wii that used the motion controls, the nunchuck and stuff, and it was actually kind of cool. Where you'd be fighting, and then you would do something like this, and it would have you do your super or something. And I remember that being kind of unique, but it was different. But I don't know, maybe I didn't like it on like I remember I played Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1, I think I had on the Wii, and I just couldn't stand the controls for it, and I ended up buying it again on Xbox 360 just because it was so bad on the Wii. Shame.
Yeah. Another comment here from MX Jake 720 says I use my Xbox One controller for some PC games like Rocket League. FPS I use keyboard. Actually made me think I can't even imagine playing Rocket League with a keyboard. Like Rocket League is a 2-button game as far as I am concerned, and I mean it's probably why. It's probably
I'm
why I
just
can't
trying to map it in my head.
Yeah.
Like, what do you?
Yeah.
You know, like, just try to figure that one.
Yeah, it works in a pinch. I find. Like, I mean, playing Rocket League on mouse and keyboard is good. I would definitely much rather play with my Xbox 360 controller while I'm plugged into my PC. But like, I mean, if I'm just like, okay, I just want to play a few matches real quick. I mean, it works fine. But yeah, that's my two. That's my two things about Rocket League and playing mouse and keyboard. I don't know if you guys have played Rocket League on mouse and keyboard before, or
I can't even imagine what that's like. Like in my mind, that's like playing an RTS with like. It's like I think of like playing StarCraft on Nintendo 64.
I was just I was like, that'd be an amazing feeling. I would love to imagine like that's where your core hardcore audience is. They're like, keyboard, nah, N64 controller, man. And I think that would be like just to die for to see.
Yeah, that's what EA thought whenever they brought Railer 3 over to Xbox 360 and PS3.
Yeah, they did. Did you know there's an exclusive? I think it's only on Xbox 360, but there's like an exclusive Red Alert 3 spin-off. It's only a few missions, but it's only on Xbox 360. Just fun fact. Cool. So regarding the PS5 controller, I don't really have anything else to say other than I hate it.
3 out of 5, man. 3 out of 5.
Yeah. So that goes through everything I had in terms of the news and kind of like big things to discuss. Did you guys have anything else that you guys want to bring up or discuss, or are we kind of wrapping up for today?
I was curious to see what are the games we are all playing for this week.
Yeah. So I've been playing. What I've been playing? Because I've been playing Animal Crossing, and everything just kind of blends into a.
I don't even want to know.
Actually, it's only 10.
That's not that many at all.
Yeah, it's only about 10. No, it's Animal Crossing for me is a very much like, you know how some people will play like games, like a casual game, like they'll hop on for like 5 minutes or whatever. That's Animal Crossing for me. The thing is, actually playing Animal Crossing takes up a very little amount of time. Thinking about what I'm going to do in Animal Crossing takes up way much more time for me. So like I'm sitting there, I'm like,
repeat.
Yeah, that's how you get money to then buy like your your DIY projects. As I'm sitting around like my actual home that has a million DIY projects I've never actually like half started. Like, oh yeah, that shelf that's half finished, I got to finish that. But no, like so I'm spending a lot of time like kind of like drawing out like my island outline, like how I kind of want it to be, where I want the buildings to be, so that it kind of flows nicely, and all that. And I'm not doing that in the game yet. I'm not at the point where I can build that out. But I'm very much enjoying just the kind of like the sitting there and be like, all right, Animal Crossing, how am I going to figure you out? So I will have a review for the website up this week. It's going to be a fairly positive review. I do have some issues with the game. I don't want to get too far into them, but I think it's a very good Animal Crossing game. Is it my favorite Animal Crossing game? No. I'll just leave it at that. So you guys will look forward to this review, which should go up tomorrow on linkcable.com. So look forward to that. Besides that, I just started playing Journey to a Savage Planet.
Ooh.
So Journey to a Savage Planet is so far pretty fun. Right? I was not expecting. No, I'm playing that on Epic Game Store.
You buy it, or was that free on there?
Yep.
Ooh.
I have bought it. I bought it. Paid my $24.99 Canadian for Journey to a Savage Planet, which I went into not really knowing too much about. I was kind of expecting more of like a sim survival type game, and it's kind of like Metroid Prime, which is like not at all what I expected it to be.
That's cool.
So it's been pretty cool so far. I'm not very far into it. I want to have a review done for that as well. I'm enjoying it enough that I want to talk about it more, but I don't know when that'll be. But so far, so good. A lot more Metroid than I anticipated in it. So, but yeah, what about you guys?
I have actually been. I just got the Mega Man Zero collection last week, and I am playing all of that 100%. The Mega Man Zero series. It was one of the main games I even wanted released this year, forgetting anything else. It's my favorite Mega Man franchise. The Zero.
So this is just a collection of all the games, right?
It's a collection of all the Mega Man Zero games.
I've never played a Mega Man game
that were on the.
What's the difference between Zero and regular and?
What?
Oh my gosh! What? You guys are all.
What?
I've never ever touched Mega Man game. No, I don't know anything
single,
about Mega Man.
Not even like Mega Man X. I don't know the difference
between the X Zeros and all this other stuff. Like the only Mega Man knowledge I know is Super Smash Brothers and Marvel vs. Capcom. So someone help me out here.
Jeez.
I can't do this. I can't be the one to explain. I'll get really into it. Okay, there's like multiple continuities of Mega Man. Original Mega Man, and then the more teen adult Mega Man, like what, in the 90s? And then
the more anime Mega Man. Let's be honest.
The more like anime Mega Man, and Mega Man X and Zero are like in that same continuity. So Mega Man Zero is like about a couple hundred years after the original Mega Man X games, which are them a couple of years after the original Mega Man games. So it's basically Mega Man Zero is in the really distant future, and it's pretty messed up. So and Zero is the sword. Do you know Zero? Maybe long hair, red Capcom, armor,
so I know him from
big
there.
sword. Bingo, that guy. So he's the main character. So he's not a shooty character like all the other Mega Mans are. For him, he's really up close, very in enemies' faces. So the Mega Man Zero series is regardless of it being good or bad, changed up a lot of the Mega Man functionality, because Zero was always like a support character in the original Mega Man X games, and you could play him in a couple of levels here and there, but he was never like center stage in his own franchise. And he's like, honestly, other than X, the most popular character in that franchise bubble. So him having his own series is, and it's considered one of the best narrative Mega Man stories of the Mega Man like whole. It's really, really emotional. It's really sad and good. It's in all honesty, it's a great story set in the future where basically Zero is totally left alone and he's essentially the last hope, quote unquote. So it's like a redemption story essentially, because he's kind of like he's a good guy, but he's also kind of a badass. So Zero's a baller character. So, and the gameplay, because it's so up close and in your face, it's very difficult. Like with Mega Man X or Mega Man, you could always just stay in the back and shoot people, from a safe distance. Zero has to be very aggressive. So it's a different mechanical play. So I've been playing it pretty good so far. Yeah.
I'm surprised. I didn't know you guys were all big Mega Man fans in general. I guess something to learn.
Oh my god. Mega Man, like I am obsessed with Mega Man. Everything Mega Man is like, I'm into it. Even like the weird card battle RPGs, which is like a genre I tend to avoid.
So down.
I'm like, I'm like, a Mega Man card battle RPG?
Oh,
All right, let's go.
It's kind of funny how we talk about like what an hour and a half on these the 2 podcasts we made, episode 1 being today, that we've kind of noticed that we've committed like gaming sins per se, where it's like one person hasn't played Mega Man, the other person likes Fallout New Vegas over everything else.
It's amazing.
But I think what it actually does, we get to uncover these new games, and what would be cool to do in the future is that if we ever get the chance to play them per se, like for you, Kevin, if you want to play Mega Man, and then next show you can talk about it if you want.
And if you guys want to play New Vegas, you can.
I already played New Vegas. I have my opinion. It's a 7 out of 10. That's what it is.
Not to derail, but we got some good discussion going on in the chat. I want to pull up. We've got Sean in the chat asking for some games. What do you guys suggest I'm playing right now that doesn't get boring? Any Steam sales, deals, etc. And then Andrew commented back saying Stardew's better than Animal Crossing from that discussion. So I put out in the chat saying that check out No Man's Sky. That's a game I have been playing to kind of tie into what I've been playing. That game has completely changed when I started playing it, and it's kind of a game I go to maybe a couple times a week to kind of do a few things here and there and kind of work on my base and get some more technology. And then I also recommended Assassin's Creed Odyssey that one of my other friends is playing right now, and he's been streaming it, and holy crap, that game looks good and looks incredible.
Yeah,
I'm trying to play through Black Flag. I'm on Black Flag playing through all the games right now, and I do like that one a lot, but I'm excited to get to Odyssey now that I've seen that. Does anybody else have any suggestions for Sean for games he should play that are not boring and they are not just MMOs?
No, I mean, I'd actually, just as you were saying about No Man's Sky, I'd certainly recommend that as well. I'm watching my wife play that from time to time, and it is a completely different game than we reviewed it a long time ago on the website, and at that point it was hogwash. It was a horrible experience all around.
Hogwash. Watch your language.
Yeah, well, yeah.
We're public here.
Yeah. But I mean, like, just going back now and just looking what they've done with it, it's just a terrific experience. Honestly, and again, we'll tie it up to the games that we're playing now. Dauntless is one of them. I mean, it's more on the community-based type of games that you can play right now, but it's free to play. You can play on basically anything you have.
I played a little bit of Dauntless, and I think it's a very, like, I don't want to say dumbed down because it makes it sound negative, but it's a very simplistic version of like Monster Hunter, where it's a free-to-play game. It has some free-to-play elements for the most part, but you do get quite a bit for nothing. And I think it's especially if you're playing with a friend who's not a big gamer, or somebody who's not like super knowledged and be able to follow these systems and stuff. It's a pretty simple game that I think everybody would really enjoy.
Oh no, I was just gonna go and say the same thing with Kevin stated there, because just being such a Monster Hunter fan and still playing through World right now and just collecting armor pieces, like just going to Dauntless, it's such and I don't want to say a lax type of experience, but it's so much easier to take in. You don't have to like prepare yourself for these hunts or anything like that, or you're not. I always get a sense of frustration when I lose a hunt in Monster Hunter and in Dauntless. Not to say that you don't get that, but at the same time, it feels less of a loss if you.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're looking to get into those type of experiences where it's kind of more geared towards coordination and like tougher gameplay, then yeah, Dauntless would be a great way to start that. And honestly, you're not going to get bored from that. Once you start, you won't stop playing.
One of my best friends introduced me to the Monster Hunter franchise this past couple of years, and it's a tough cookie of a game. I'm like, what can be so hard? You're just beating the crap out of giant dinosaur things.
No, because they'll beat you back.
They'll beat you back, man. They will beat you. And like Monster Hunter is a complicated kind of system of a game. The core concept is easy. Beat the crap out of monsters, make armor out of them. Beat the crap out of stronger monsters, make armor out of them. Then you're a monster. But I like Dauntless, where it has that, simplicity that's kind of easy to get into. I enjoyed it because of that. Not that I didn't enjoy Monster Hunter World or don't enjoy it as much, but I like Dauntless's approach to the I want to beat up monsters, make armor out of them, but I don't want it to be so many steps involved, you know? I like that approach.
Just real quick, I looked up Link Cable's original review of No Man's Sky. It might be due for an update. Yeah, we wrote it. It was written in 2016.
Yeah.
So the game was new when it came out. It got a 3.8 out of 10 from us. So a very negative. Not a very. Okay, you know what? That's not a very negative review. That's a bad review. And it was called Hogwash. Mostly boring and uninspired.
Yeah, that's kind of flipped on its head now.
Yeah, direct quote from Kyle, who wrote this review for us back in the day. No Man's Sky is an extremely impressive technical feat, but an aggressively mediocre video game. It's an indie game with a AAA price tag and certainly isn't worth the full price. I don't think that stands to be the case anymore. No Man's Sky has gotten massively better. And it's the same thing with my pick for a game that I would recommend to people nowadays is Sea of Thieves.
Really?
Sea of Thieves when it launched had a lot of promise, but not a whole lot of content. It was hard to find stuff to do in that game, and Microsoft has just stuck with it. And they're releasing free expansions. All the expansions are free as far as I know. There's like cosmetics you can buy and stuff like that, but they're like big expansions. I think they're up to like number 3 or 4 right now. They release them every few months. The next one's either just come out or is about to come out. And the game is actually coming over to Steam. So not just the Xbox on PC or whatever they're calling it, but it's coming straight up to Steam in the next little bit. They announced that in the Xbox. I don't remember what they're called. The Xbox Direct or whatever they just had a few days ago.
Inside Xbox.
Inside
Xbox.
I don't know the name of it.
Thank you. Everything is a direct. Is how I see it.
Blizzard Direct, Tenno Direct.
Yeah. But yeah, Sea of Thieves. I really do recommend it. It has gotten much better. It has that Rare, as a company, Rare vibe to it, where the world kind of has its own like a very distinct personality, and you can feel that when you're walking through the game. So yeah, I definitely recommend Sea of Thieves nowadays. I think it's a game that has stuff to do all of a sudden. It wasn't the case in its first few months. But Sea of Thieves is a very good game. And one that I recommend.
So getting back to games we're playing this week, I'm going to just run down my quick little list. So I can't remember if last week I finished up Octopath Traveler. Did I mention that last week? So I jumped into Dragon Quest 4, and I've been playing that a lot. And I'm on the very last chapter of that game now, so I'm pretty excited to finish that up. I've got about 35 hours into that. So I'm going to finish that, and then I think I'm going to jump into Dragon Quest 5 and then into 6 right after that. So I got this quarantine planned out. I know what I'm going to do. I'm just hoping for some warm weather I can play out on my back porch. And then...
Quarantine on lockdown.
And I'm finishing up Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I think I'm going to finish that after we're done taping here, actually. So I'll be ready to... my main focus game, I'm going to try to figure out what to play next. I was actually thinking of playing that Journey to Savage Planet game you were talking about, because I saw it just came on Game Pass. So I think I might try that out too and see.
I should have waited for that.
See how that goes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
kind of
not what I
expected. It gives
expected.
me the vibe. Did you ever play that Slime Rancher game or see that game? So I played that.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I actually played it for quite a bit because it was another Game Pass game that ran, and it was very addicting. And it was a very like Harvest Moon, Stardew Valley type of feel where you had a bunch of like things to take care of and grow your like little farm. And so I keep feeling like that's what that looks like, but I have no idea what to expect in the Savage Planet game. So.
All right, cool. Well, I think that does it for us for this evening. I think we had a lot of fun things to talk about. So I guess we'll wrap it up. So thanks, everyone, for joining us. I hope you enjoyed episode 01 of our podcast. We had a blast doing it. Yeah. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
And everyone, don't forget to send us an email in case you have any further questions at general.mail@linkcable.com. Tweet us at linkcable1 and subscribe to us on YouTube, Mixer, Twitch, or any of your favorite apps for podcasts. We'll be starting to build our podcast library up
Yeah,
and
we
distributing
actually,
on that.
our episode 0, our test episode, went out. We posted it, I think, 2 days ago, I believe it was, and we got approved to get on to Apple Music, Google Play, Stitcher, Pocket Cast. I think that's everything. That we everywhere I could think to put a podcast. We got Spotify. So yeah, you can, if you guys want to just listen to us on the go without video, definitely have a listen and leave us a review.
Yeah, and we plan on doing these weekly at 7 p.m. on Sundays, or starting around 7 p.m. on Sundays. So check out our social media. We'll make sure to post when we go live. But if you're not doing anything on Sunday evenings, which you shouldn't be because it's quarantine time, you should be staying at home, then tune in for our weekly discussions.
Yeah, that should, I think, wrap us up here. You definitely keep following. Every week we get a little bit better, so bear with us. We will definitely get this all figured out soon. We just have to kind of iron out all the craziness and see what's going on. But anybody have any final words of anything they want to say? All right.
See you next week.
We'll see you next week then. Thanks, guys.
Sounds good. All right. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Take care.
Peace out.